Hi, I'm Braxton with Braxton Bruce Photography. We're all trying to figure out how to avoid becoming professionals, and today I'm giving you my top 10 tips on how to make that happen. Tip number 1, buy as much gear as possible, but never invest in yourself. Almost as popular as making good images is talking about gear. Probably 90% of the time when I run into someone who's into photography, they want to know what gear I have. They want to know what's in my bag. They want to know what camera I use. The truth is, I don't even own a camera. And when I did, I only had one lens. My lighting gear is just old Alien Bs that are beat up and I hardly ever get them out. Why? Because in the end, it doesn't really matter what gear you use. And if I get hired for a job, I can just rent gear to suit the job. If you want to be a professional, if you want people to pay you for your work, it'd be much better to take that money you were going to spend on some gizmos, invest it in a really great model, invest it in a makeup artist, invest it in a location that will require you to pay because it's a really excellent location. Those things and the images that you'll get from taking pictures with them will do far more for your portfolio than having a new lens or a new camera. Number 2, if you want to stay amateur, make sure that you don't put any forethought into your photo shoots. I know from experience, having been a beginner, that the tendency is to just go out and take pictures because it's fun. We all start photography because it's enjoyable, it's fun. You get together with some people, you make some pictures, you go to beautiful places, you take pictures of beautiful things. It's fun. It should stay fun. However, if you don't want to stay amateur forever, I recommend doing some planning for your photo shoots. And I don't just mean where it's going to be at what time. What colors are going to be in the scene? How wide are you going to shoot? How many people are you going to have for models? And how experienced will these models be? And what look do the models need to have to help your images communicate most effectively? What are you trying to say with your photo? Who's the audience for your photo? Who out there would be willing to pay for the photo you're creating? These are all questions you should be asking before every shoot to make sure you're not wasting your time. Technique number 3, learning from your experiences. That would create higher expectations next time, and we don't want that. Every photo shoot you do should be seen as a learning opportunity. Part of your planning prior to the shoot should be, what technique am I going to try out this time that I haven't done before? Or what technique would I like to try this time that I've seen successful photographers using? And then go to the shoot and focus on that thing. Don't worry so much about whether it's going to turn out or what the model will think of you or whatever. This is portfolio work. You're the photographer. Everyone trusts you. You're just there to learn. That's what all these things are for. Technique number 4, shoot with as little complexity as possible. You can do beautiful work with nothing but sunlight and a camera. What I mean by complexity is that you should be out there and you should be doing something that distinguishes your work from people who just take snapshots on their cell phones with no training. If you do that, if you go out and you take a picture and you just shoot in whatever light there is that's available and you haven't looked for the good light, and you don't take consideration for the posing or management of your models or the framing of your landscape, you are shooting the same way that people shoot who are not photographers. And your images are going to look the same as theirs look. The kind of work that I like, and this is just a matter of taste, is whatever work requires the greatest amount of complexity. My goal when I was in college, and even to this day, is to shoot images that separate me from my competition, from other people. What can I do that is just a step above what I see other people doing? Now, I didn't immediately know how to do that, but it was through that process we talked about in the last tip of always looking for one more thing I can try out this time that I've never done before, really looking for light, looking for composition, looking for color, looking for expression, looking for feeling, looking to communicate with the image. Tip number 5, true artists get it right in camera. Retouching is for losers. I saw this a lot, especially in college. There was a strong bias against retouching, especially in academia. There's such a strong focus on the art or the tradition of photography. So maybe a third or more of the department were so focused on that principle that they wouldn't even shoot digital because they were so sure that they were sticking to the truth of what photography is by shooting 8x10 large format film. And I think that it's fine if that's what they want to do, and there is value in it, and there's a unique look that goes along with shooting that way. But my philosophy has always been that I need to do whatever it takes to get the best looking images that I can. Now, I agree that you shouldn't shoot terrible images and then rely on post-production to make things look good. That will also not result in the best images possible. What does result in the best images possible is shooting the best image with the best light, with the best subjects, taking that image into post-production, seeing what the problems with the image are, correct them, and then see what improvements you can make to the images to really bring out the best. All of this is the photography process. Even when you were shooting film back in the day, there was still the darkroom, and there was a certain level of skill involved in dodging and burning and other techniques in the darkroom to make sure that you were bringing out the best in your images. The same is true with photography today, and there is no ethical problem or sellout issue with retouching your images in Photoshop. It's just that the power that we have now is greater than it used to be. The best images come from doing the best work in every stage of photography. Tip number 6, avoid controlling light. It seems that some people believe that since things look nice when you look at them with your eyeballs, that means it will automatically look nice when you shoot it with a camera. But the truth is, the same subject shot at dawn or dusk or at noon or at 3 o'clock on a cloudy day or on a sunny day or in fog, these things are all going to look very different. And it will affect the mood, it will affect the softness, it will affect the flattery of your subject, it will affect everything. The camera is just a tool to record light. If you don't control light, then you're not controlling your photography. It is literally the only thing that you can control. The light that bounces off of things. Even if you're changing the color on someone's scarf, well, that color as it reaches the camera is only a wavelength of light. If you're changing the focal length of your camera, well, you're changing the focus of the light. Light is photography. If you're not willing to control the light or make any adjustments in real life or in post-production to what the light looks like, then you're just taking snapshots. You're not controlling anything, and you're on the road to remain an amateur photographer. Technique number 7, maintain no online presence. I see it all the time, and I started out the same way. You do need a place to begin to collect your images and to curate your images, and Flickr or similar websites can be a great way to do that. But that is an amateur place to show your images. If you'd like to begin to charge money for your work, you need to show it in a professional way. You need to inspire confidence in people that they're giving their money to someone who's going to give them something of value in return. If the way that you show your work is amateur, then people will perceive you as amateur. A more professional way to present yourself has always been a website, as long as websites have existed. And lately, Instagram has been passing as a credible place to store your images. Instagram is free. A lot of people have Instagram, so that can be an easy way to do it. A website is a little step up, in my opinion, of professionalism. You can have a lot more information there about yourself and your services. You can delineate your images into several categories to help people to know exactly what they're getting when they hire you. So I would recommend getting a website. There are sites out there that will provide you with a website, like Squarespace or Wix.com or other places, and they'll often have a free version where it will list at the top of the website that this is a Wix site, for example. I would also recommend paying the minimal fee required to get your own domain and to get that message off your website. It's worth it. Your website will be your calling card for the rest of your life, and that's what's going to get you work. So it's worth investing in. Tip number 8, worship other photographers, but do not emulate them. Very common among amateurs is failing to recognize that professional world-class photographers are just people. It's the same with YouTube. People who have millions of followers are just people. What's the difference between you and them? They've put in years and years of daily or weekly work in order to get where they are. That's the only difference. Don't worship them. Instead, see what they've done and how they've done it, and then begin doing it yourself. Tip number 9, shoot nothing but sexy pictures. I see this so much, and I'm sure you do too. If you go to any general photography forum or on Facebook in a Facebook group for photographers, what you'll see is an endless stream of scantily clad women over and over and over again. Now, if you take a step back, maybe you zoom out to 1,000,000 miles above the earth and look at it from far, far away and ask yourself, who hires photographers to shoot sexy pictures of women? What would the answer be? One or two major national lingerie companies, maybe? Well, you've got pornography. So if that's what you're trying to do, I guess, then that's the way to go. But if you're trying to be a commercial photographer and get work, product photography, any of those kinds of things, they will never ever hire you to shoot that kind of stuff. When I see that kind of work in someone's portfolio, especially if it's the bulk of their portfolio, all that tells me is that they're not serious about photography. It just tells me that they're a photographer for fun and they enjoy doing those kinds of photo shoots and they're not serious. Any photographer who really wants to get work is going to be looking at what kind of work is being paid for, and they're going to direct their portfolio to appeal to people who pay for those genres. The only people who pay for sexy pictures, the bulk of them are models, and models don't have a lot of money unless they're successful, and if they're successful, it's because they're doing commercial work. So my recommendation is just stop. I mean, if you want to do it for fun, I get it, but that should just be occasional or not at all, and you should really be focusing your time and energy on what your real goals are. If your goal is to be a professional, look up companies, see what images they're using, and then start shooting stuff that you think that company would use. Tip number 10, don't be a sellout. Thinking about what other people might want might require you to change. Piggybacking off of tip number 9, you should be thinking about who your audience is. Everybody does this. Every successful artist, every photographer. This is a baseline thing to do. You need to think about who your audience is and what you're trying to say to that audience. It's just fine to go shoot things you love and to not give any consideration to who your audience is or what they might want if you want to remain an amateur, and that's okay. If you would like to be paid for your work, then you need to provide value to a customer. In order to provide value to a customer, you need to know what the customer values. You can't give someone something you value that they do not value and then expect them to give you their money. So it's important to do some research and understand what it is that other people value. Now, I wanted to be a full-time photographer. I wanted to have a full-time job taking pictures. I have 4 kids and a wife and a mortgage, and when I was starting out, it was a little risky for me to go freelance because, to be honest, my work wasn't that good, and I wasn't good enough to support all of this on a freelance income. So what did I have to do? In order to get a full-time job, I needed to find companies in my area that are hiring photographers. How do you do that? You Google jobs in your area for photography. You start looking through the job requirements, seeing what they're looking for. You look through their websites to see what images are already on their website. It's most likely that the images they already have are what they're going to be looking for next time, because in marketing, consistency is key in branding. So you look for companies, especially ones that are near you or you think you could get in with, and you see what they're shooting. What images do they have? And then you look at your work and compare. Are you shooting something that that company might be interested in? And if not, set up a photo shoot with this goal in mind, learn from the photo shoot, and go and do images that your customer will want, create a portfolio of that work, and then apply for that job. If you would prefer to stay amateur, stay amateur. There's nothing wrong with having a hobby. Photography is fun, and I encourage you to do it. If you would like to be a professional and get paid, then it's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to shoot some things that you didn't think you wanted to shoot. You're going to have to go and put yourself out there and put your work in front of people. You're going to have to get rejected. This is life. Thank you for watching. I hope these tips have helped you. I know that if you do these things, you can be a professional too. If you're already a professional, keep these things in mind and you'll elevate your game and you'll take your business further. If you like this video, subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time.